Hey everyone, this is Tony with Affinity Designs. Today I'm back with another video. Today I want to talk about how to design a business card in Affinity. This is a little bit also just a good overview of some tips and tricks on business card design, what to look for, what to think about when designing a business card, and how to get the best end quality as you possibly can. If you learned something from this video, like and subscribe, and let's hop into it. So starting out, we're going to open up Affinity. This is the new version of Affinity. We're going to make sure that we're in the vector layout. I prefer to design in vector for our business cards. You could also use layout as an option too. We're going to go to File, New. And then we'll get a new layout for how to design a document. So just to start out, I'm gonna go find a basic template. None of these really fit my need, but if you're in the United States, a business card is 3.5 by 2. Let's make sure our DPI is 300. Let's also make sure we're in CMYK. We're designing for something for print. We need to make sure we're in CMYK. RGB is passable in most print industries nowadays. Most printers are digital now. It's not the end of the world, but your color will come out differently versus CMYK and RGB. So I've always made it a good rule of thumb. If I'm working for print, I'm designing for print, I'm in CMYK. This changes also when you go to different processes. So say if you go to an offset press, those only work in CMYK. Or if you need something that needs 5 colors, so you need white, you need CMYK to make sure your colors are accurate as possible, and your printer can have control of color if they need to make adjustments as needed. So we're going to be on CMYK. US web coded is fine. A lot of these will not matter as much for you, but coded is just a good standard for color. We don't need a transparent background. I want to make sure I have artboard selected. This makes it so if I have 2 color or double-sided business card, I now have the ability to modify that on the fly. I prefer embedded, just easier for what I'm dragging images is. If I need it, it's automatically embedded. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Import text links. I'll preserve text styles. This is all just good stuff to have. We are going to go to margins. This is something a lot of people don't think about when designing a business card. And trust me, I can tell you working in a print shop, yes, it still happens. So we are actually going to make a margin. I will make it an 1/8 inch, that's 0.125 inches. To think about a margin, we have to kind of go through the anatomy of a print document. So you have your finish size, you have your bleed size, then you have your safe area. These 3 things coexist together to make sure that your document works correctly. Your finish size is your actual finished document size. So this is 3.5 by 2. Your bleed size is the extended area that you need if you have artwork going to the edge. So any color, any images. This is usually an 1/8 inch around for most situations. It can change when you get to larger stuff where you need to do routing, but that's not what we're here right now. 1/8 inch is good for a business card. I always prefer to do it also an 1/8 inch on a business card for margin. Margin is something that as you get more designing into print, you will learn it scales with your document. This is so that when you're cutting, you make sure that any text or any images that do not need to be cut off are not getting cut off. This helps with shifting of equipment. Prints, when they get printed in digital formats, shift slightly. Registration slightly off sometimes. Equipment, when it's cutting, shifts slightly. There's always a slight shifting in equipment that's not 100% precise to make sure that it is good when you're doing it. So we're also going to set up bleed. I will set up bleed also. I'm going to set it up as 0.125 like I said. Now this is all set up and done. I'm going to actually create a preset here so I have this saved when I'm actually working in this. So I'm going to go and do business card. And I'll create a preset. Now in my custom presets, I actually have one saved already. I'll create the document. And as we open this up, we can now see our artboard. This light blue area, this is our bleed area. This inner area this is our margin or our safe area. So nothing that we want cut off can actually be in this area. This is the basic building blocks of a good business card design. From here, you can do whatever you want. You can make it as cool as you want. We will just make a basic business card today and go from there. All right, so we're gonna start with this logo right here. I always like to make sure a logo on a business card is a pretty decent size. I think I want to make this about like a 1/2 inch at least. This is one of the main things you should always consider about your business card. If you want to really go down the hierarchy of a business card, it should be your logo. It should be the person's name, the person's title, and then contact information. Those are the 5 things that if you do not have, a business card is not successful. Outside of that, put whatever flair you want on there. If you want to have 37 pieces of flair, have 37 pieces of flair, honestly, but I prefer to at least have those 5 things down before I start adding anything else on here. So let's go over what we're going to do for the title. So we're going to get our text tool. I'll make sure I have the artistic type tool. I just prefer this one. It allows me to do free lines, allows me to do just a basic text tool. So I'm just going to use Arial just for this example for us to go through the basic understanding of a business card design. So whenever I do a design like this, I like to just make sure that I'm using dummy text just for me to get this out. So I want to justify this to the right at least. There we go. When it comes down to font size on a business card, the minimum you do not want to go past is 8 point. I've learned over time, 8 point is about your minimum person can be comfortable reading. So keep that in mind when you're designing. Usually something like a email address or something like that will get very long. So keep that in mind. You might have to push that a little bit. 7.5, depending on your font family, is really what's going to be your deciding factor on that. So I'm going to leave this as at 12 point. This is something that's very crucial for something to read, but I'm also going to put it as bold so it stands out a little bit more. I don't really like this color. I think it needs to be a little bit more harmonious. So I'll grab this, and now it's that same color. Underneath this, I'm going to put this as 10 point. And it won't be bold, it'll be italic. I will make this job title. Awesome. And then we're going to go into our contact information. As I start laying this all out, I'm going to realize maybe this needs to be a little bit smaller. Maybe this needs to be a little bit bigger. But I want to make sure I have all that information on this card before I start making those judgment calls. Because the further I get down this design and before I start locking it up, I want to make sure all the information fits on the card. That's the most important thing before anything else. Do we have all the information we actually need? So next we'll go to, everyone needs, as much as we don't like it sometimes, we need people to call us. So we're going to do phone. We're going to do this as regular. I've done these so many different ways for people. It kind of depends. I have done it as actual icons. I've done it as phone, cell, PC. There's no right or wrong for this. Kind of just depends on the flavor of the business card, how they want their information laid out. There's no right or wrong for this. Usually in email, I like to separate. I like to break it out. So we have all our info, we have all our phones, we have all our emails. I will sometimes keep the email in the website the same together because then it makes it a little bit easier for that to be coherent on a business card. And I usually like to put them towards the bottom of a business card because they're going to take the most space out of these blocks of text. So I'll do just a generic email. And then we'll do our website. Like I said, this is the most basic information you need on here. I am seeing some things I could do differently. Like this, I could make it at least bold, so these stand out more. And now looking at it, I think I want this to be bigger. So I'm just going to scale these up. I really want these to be a little bit bigger. I need to also keep in mind that someone's name may have varying length. Job titles might have varying length. So what I'm doing this basic layout, I need to keep in mind that I need to fit a long name. Good rule of thumb is if you're working on a large business order for a customer, ask them, hey, can you give me a list of names of your people and job titles? This will help you understand, like, what is the maximum length I'm roughly trying to get for, and design for that, and then everyone else will fit in just fine. Realizing that, again, I need to make this a little bit smaller. I think about there is good. We're going to actually line these up to be centered with this logo. I like this phone information. I like all this. I think that is fine, but I think I want to actually justify it on the other side. The reason why is I think I want to add a design element here, but I want it to go diagonally with this logo, so there's at least some dynamic energy going here that makes this business card feel like there's a little bit of tension on it and a little bit of design scope into it. So we're going to go get that. We'll go over to my brand guide I have over here with all my goofy logos. Let's grab one of these black and white ones. I really like this one as like a friendly logo. So we're going to copy it over here. And then we'll just make this bigger. I'm going to angle it. I want it a little bit off the card, so I'm going to make sure it goes to the bleed. Something to always consider about bleed. If you look about this triangle right here, this is going to be very hard to get consistently done in a print production format. Something I would consider is to make this whole area black. Even though that's not what the logo looks like, when it comes to consistency of cutting and how to make it look consistently across all finishes, in case there's any slight changes in the cutting or slight shifts in the layout of the print, this makes sure that when it's done, it looks consistent, it looks intentional. I could either I could oversize this to where that little triangle's gone. We can see it's now here in the bleed. That's actually pretty passable. Make sure we have everything grouped first. You can scale it. I actually like that. I'm gonna send this to the back, so I'm gonna hit Control Shift bracket, and it will send it to the back. The next thing I want to do is I want this to be more like a watermark. So I'm actually go over here to my opacity on my layers. This is the one thing I love about Affinity, that everything's just really easily groupable. So I want this to be, or findable, I want this to be like 30%. Something to always to consider when it comes to printing usually comes out darker than what you're looking at. So if you want this to actually come out this percentage, in print, I would always go about 10% lower, so I'll go about 20%. Now this is something where you can work with your printers and understand. It is easier to work with a local printer than someone online when it comes to this. Always ask for a printed proof. Usually local printers will do this, and they like to do this. It helps give them a stick to hit their goal by. Printing is an art, not a science sometimes. Printers can be moody. They can have, depending on temperature, depending on toner levels, depending on a bunch of other things, wears of parts. It can come out one way one day, but the next day it can come out completely different colors. It's a finicky creature, and it's a finicky beast to deal with, but I think overall this is a good scope. I think there's one more thing I do want to add, and this is just something I want to add just to show, like, how do we design for this? Not really that I would like this on my business card, but how do we design for this as a designer? So I'm gonna go to my shape tool. I want just a rectangle. Say you want a rectangle, and I want this really light blue. Say you want a rectangle at the bottom of your business card. Normally, rule of thumb would say, do this. That's how big I want it. That's how it's going to look great. This is going to come out amazing. This will not come out consistently if you put it at the bottom of the margin like this. It is hard to understand until you see it actually happen. What is going to happen is this is going to come out very inconsistent. You'll have some that are perfect. You'll have some that are very thin. This is too thin for it to try to cut like this, even if someone's manually feeding it through a guillotine. My suggestion would be from the bottom, make this a 1/4 inch tall. So we're actually going to go up here. I'm going to make this 0.25. And I want this up here now. I am actually starting this at the bottom of the business card. That means no matter what, this is now how thick I want it. And now from the bottom, I will go here. There will still be some slight inconsistencies with this. but this will be way more consistent than trying to give an 1/8 inch at the bottom of a business card. That is setting up your design to fail. That is setting up your customer's design to fail. That is setting up everything to fail. That's why I'm very strict on margins. That's why I'm very strict on how close are we to the edge with our artwork. What does our artwork look like at the edge, at the cut line? How is that actually going to cut? How is that actually going to be presented when it gets run through a machine 500 times, 5,000 times? That machine's going to shift. That machine's just going to keep wearing and tearing after a while. How is it going to look the first business card versus the last business card? It's always something to consider. It's always something good to think about. I hope this video helped you guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you picked up something from like just basic business card design to how to design to print and how to use Affinity for designing business cards. Like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.